The Warriors have actually become so well run and so good as a basketball team that it could end their dynasty run in the blink of an eye. I know it sounds crazy considering all I've talked about lately with their young core and their future, but the Warriors' winning ways have always been because their main core was on cheap, affordable contracts, which allowed them to sign the perfect complementary players over the years without it becoming too much of a financial burden. However, this championship team could split if Joe Lacob can't give guys like Draymond, Clay, Poole, and Wiggins what they want financially, as the Warriors already had the highest payroll ever, without Poole and arguably Draymond on max contracts. Joe Lacob has already said he's about at his limit spending wise, and this could finally be the breaking point that splits this core up. In this video, I want to specifically dive into Draymond's contract situation and the recent reports circulating that he might be willing to leave to pursue a max contract. Joe Lacob is not the richest owner in the NBA like Steve Ballmer, and even though he's gone way into the luxury tax to pay all his stars in recent seasons, he can only do this for so much longer. Something has to give. It unfortunately involves either Draymond or Clay taking pay cuts, or guys like Wiggins or Poole leaving to get max money. Either way, the Warriors can't keep them all, and eventually this crazy spending and superb drafting was going to pay its price. Literally. Having said that, it was no surprise when Joe Lacob said earlier this summer that he doesn't want to pay over $400 million for the Warriors roster and that he hopes to keep everyone but isn't sure how negotiations will go. It also wasn't a surprise when The Athletic first reported that Draymond wants a max contract extension for 4 years, $138 million, and the Warriors don't want to give it to him. Now, let's address this entire situation. For context of the full report, Draymond is eyeing a max extension, but the Dubs have no plan to offer him one. Anthony Slater and Marcus Thompson II of The Athletic reported Wednesday, citing sources that Green wants and believes he deserves a maximum contract extension from the Warriors of 4 years in length. Per the report, it's Green's preference to remain in the Bay, but he is also willing to explore his outside options to get the kind of contract he wants. And this massive contract would pay him $164.2 million over the next 5 seasons. Draymond has never gotten a contract like this, and I don't blame him for wanting one, as he just came off an all-star and all-defensive season. Continuing on, Clutch Points went over the absurd financial scenario that Joe Lacob has clearly stated he's not willing to entertain. One where Green, Wiggins, Poole, and Thompson all get max extensions. That puts the payroll at a whopping $564 million. And as I mentioned, Lacob doesn't want to pay over $400 million for the upcoming roster, as the payroll hit a total of $360 million last season. And every additional dollar spent is actually worth over $5, which makes it very easy to get to the $400 million mark with just an additional cheap contract. The article also says that Draymond Green and Klay Thompson are veteran presences on the roster, but Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins signify the future. Deciding who's worth keeping around will be a challenging decision to say the least. Now, for my thoughts on this situation. First off, I completely get where Draymond is coming from wanting a max contract, but at the same time, he probably knows that getting this max contract means Bob Myers and Joe Lacob can't put as deep of a roster around him, Steph, and Clay, compared to what they've had in previous seasons. Draymond's max might entail letting their young guys go down the road if they become too talented, which, as I said, would hurt the Dubs' ability to have good depth. Draymond has obviously made the least amount of money out of the core trio of him, Steph, and Clay, and he's definitely had to make the most sacrifices over the years. If the Warriors had the room to pay him, I would easily say he deserves a max and should get one right away. But unfortunately, that's not the scenario the Dubs are in. There is no wiggle room for spending money, and no player except for Steph will be able to get the money they desire. This is the price you pay when you win championships, and sacrifices with roles and contracts are part of the deal. The Spurs dynasty stuck around because Tim Duncan took pay cuts, and Scottie Pippen was on a super cheap contract on the Bulls, which allowed them to build a talented roster around Jordan. The same needs to happen for the Warriors dynasty to be prolonged. Once again, I see where Draymond is coming from, but if he wants to keep winning and stay in the Bay, he's going to have to put the team over his contract desires. He is making over $25 million per year currently, which is already in the near top 1% of NBA contracts, and there's no reason to believe the Dubs wouldn't want to offer a 4-year, $100 million extension again, instead of a 4-year, $138 million extension. Plus, if the Dubs give Draymond that $138 million max, he'll be getting paid nearly $40 million during his age 37 season. I'm not saying Green will be a completely different player by then, but I'm unsure about paying Green that much when he's 37, and here's why. I get giving guys like Curry and LeBron 40 to 50 million in their age 37 seasons because of their prolonged primes. But Draymond has already shown some signs of decline in his shooting, health, and athleticism at only 31 years old. His defense, passing, and IQ is still top notch, and I think that won't change by age 37 because he's such a smart player, and a further decline in athleticism won't affect those things. He might still be really good at age 37 though, and I hope he's still at peak health by that time and that he'll prove me wrong. But the Warriors need to convince Draymond of the bigger picture, as far as what the team will look like if they spend all their money giving max contracts to 5 different players. The only way the Dubs continue to win is through making sacrifices and maintaining depth, and Draymond unfortunately taking a pay cut might be the best way to make sure their depth is maintained over these next few years. All I can say now is Draymond, don't leave and split up one of the greatest teams ever. Sacrifices are a part of winning, and this is what it will take to keep this team together. Ownership in the front office can't please everyone at the end of the day, and there's other guys on the Warriors like Draymond that want to get paid too. Draymond needs to focus on what this group has accomplished and what they can further accomplish with him anchoring the defense, running the offense, and being the vocal leader of the team. At the end of the day, no one is going to remember that Draymond made $25 million per year instead of $35 million per year. Instead, they're going to remember him as an all-time great defender, all-star, and most importantly, a champion. And not only a champion, but possibly a 5 or 6-time champion and the leader of possibly the greatest dynasty ever assembled when it's all said and done. We remember players' legacies by how they won, and that will be no different with Draymond Green. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.